This is the Beige and the Bold, and today we are watching Disaster. I am Van Velding, and I have seen this episode 1,000,000 times.
And I'm Derek, and I've seen this episode once.
In 3, 2, 1, engage. I absolutely love this episode so much. This is one of my favorite episodes of this whole freaking series.
I think this is a good episode. Like, I like the conflict, like what generates the drama. I just wish it was something other than just some weird space, like, speed bump they run into. But it's whatever. Yeah. It's fine. I get what they're doing.
It's a cosmic plot accelerant. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
It's like they got waves in space so that we can do the Poseidon adventure. And they're like, no, they don't have waves in space. And they're like, what if it's like a fire, like in the Towering Inferno?
Yeah.
And they're like, I mean, they do. We'll have one of those, but no. You need more than that.
Yeah. I kind of would have loved, like, Data to, like, bring out, like, some sort of engineering utility tool to, like, scan her womb. Like, just to kind of bring the situation to this weird, uncomfortable nerd space. Not, like, uncomfortable nerd space, but just like Data doesn't understand social reaction things.
Yeah. I just think it's a great slice of life episode in a lot of ways, in that everyone's just doing what they do. They do this all the time.
Yeah, and I do like how they all have challenges that they face, and they're not the same challenges. They're very different, and even if the one thing that is weird is that the challenges Troi face seem less physical, even though everyone else's challenges are pretty physical. But I mean, that doesn't feel like a big thing. It's just it's a little bit odd, but it's fine. Like, it's fine. You still enjoy this episode, I think.
Everyone's challenges are based on something outside of their wheelhouse, except for the scene we just left with Dr. Crusher and Geordi.
Right.
In which they're just like, hey, let's do an engineering/biological thing. It's right in their wheelhouse. And I think it is the second most forgettable thread of this episode. We will get to the most forgettable thread.
Yeah.
But here's Captain Picard dealing with children, which is part of what being on the Enterprise is about.
Yeah. And so, he's so stiff and just, he has that smile, his I'm uncomfortable smile, which is funny. I love, I don't know is it weird to say that I love Troi's hair configuration? Like, I like when her hair is like that. It's like this, I don't know. It's very interesting.
Right. And it's so efficient because even if we don't know these characters, we kind of get where they're all coming from.
Right.
Troi's shepherding some kids around, and then suddenly she's just chilling on the bridge.
Yeah.
O'Brien isn't usually up here. He's like, the captain's not very good with children, in case you really weren't getting it.
Right.
And then, of course, Patrick Stewart's great in selling that here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I like how we have like some kind of not the three humors. I mean, it's 4 humors, but we have very different personalities here. We have like the dude's like, I just did a dumb thing, and like they came out all weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
because they're each different age groups.
Yeah. Oh, well,
and I
didn't realize. I know the girl is older. I just didn't realize that that they were different like ages.
I mean, one kid goes, "Oh my god, weird radishes." And the other kid's like,
that's true.
I'm at that age where I'm learning about death, and that is a big deal, y'all. He looks at everyone, y'all, it is a big deal. And it seems like a very real kid concern, because kids do get like that when they deal with like bad ideas. They obsess over it for a while.
Yeah, I guess so. We hit a space bump. We're in a rocky part of space. We don't know when we're going to get out.
Yeah. So, and it's pretty interesting because, I mean, we have no idea what's happened because we're just doing like regular everyday stuff, and we kind of should expect that something should happen.
This is so wild to me. And let's just kind of unpack that for a second. Like, she didn't just have, oh man, I'm a little singed, I'm gonna have to deal with like a sunburn on my face for a few moments and disorientation. She straight up died. Like, do they put C4 in these things? Like, that's
they should find better plasma conductors than mother frickin' Claymore mines. Right. I just feel like Like, man, its conduction properties of hot ions are just, we can't not use them.
It's just, they're
We've had these things since the Vietnam War.
Yeah, they're just great so close.
At making plasma go.
Yeah, they make the plasma go. We've had something similar. We've had smartphones explode. We've had Apple laptops explode. They got super hot and then caught fire. But we haven't. Yeah. I don't think we've ever killed anyone yet with a personal electronic device. But in
the future we will, Derek.
Yeah, I'm about to say we have yet to even get to the 2030s. So who knows? We have time.
Yeah, but yeah, it is interesting because Lieutenant what's her name, Little Red Shirt, I guess.
Yeah,
she could have been like hit and injured and been like hallucinating.
Right,
and O'Brien is like, all right, let me pull this medical kit out of here. All right. According to the tricorder, the only thing we can do is put her into a medical coma.
Yeah.
But she'll be completely stable, and we won't have to worry about her again for the rest of the episode.
Right. Or, her fluctuating emotions could have made it difficult for Troi to do the thing. Or, I don't know. I guess if she was any kind of conscious, then Troi couldn't be the leader in this situation.
Right. And killing her does tell us that the stakes are high and that, hey, people died up here. Maybe everyone in the engineering section is dead.
Yeah. And it also reminds us that literally every job in Starfleet could kill you because it all deals with terminals and all terminals are combustible.
It is pretty impressive that Troi doesn't just skitter away from that console. She's like, okay, all right, we're not going to stand here anymore. Although it is interesting, right? If you leave two Star Trek people on a planet and then the ship goes away, like their comm badges work. Their comm badges are like, hey, bro, we're both here on the planet. Our comm badges can talk to each other.
Right, yeah. Or like inside of caves with like metals in them and stuff. Still no problem.
Yeah. But on the ship, as soon as the Wi-Fi goes down, those little guys are useless.
Someone get to the router. Like, look at that. She is mangled.
Yeah, no, it's bad. Another issue here is that shuttlecraft exists.
Yeah.
So unless somehow the quantum filament like broke all independent Starfleet powered devices, then like you could just use the shuttlecraft.
Yeah, and see that's the thing that this kind of premise of like why everyone's going through their individual storylines is a bit just, hey, don't look at it too closely. But if you ignore that, this is fun. Once that kid starts whining, Picard's like, oh man, the worst. Yeah. This is gonna be the worst.
Right. And
this dude is like, he's channeling that kid from Kindergarten Cop.
Oh yeah, stop crying.
Or he's like, maybe it's a tumor, not a tumor.
Yeah. Right. This is really good. This is a real Kindergarten Cop.
And I love this part where he's like, listen, I'm tired of this crying. He starts yelling, you need to stop. Yells louder. Yeah. You need to stop. I command you to stop. Because that's what he does
for Starfleet officers. So, I do like, okay, so we don't know why McDuff was fasting.
Yeah.
But now he's in a crawl space. He can't get out for some reason. And he's thinking about eating an isolinear chip while talking to himself. This guy breaks pretty quickly. Like, if this guy was in a shuttle crash, he would immediately start eating the pilot.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he has like he must have like some weird hypoglycemia or something.
Maybe.
So was she just chilling? Was she just chilling in like the turbo lift, or like she climbed down like super fast?
I suppose that she climbed out of a different turbo lift somewhere. Yeah. Although this is the bridge, it's the top of the ship.
Yeah.
And they're like isolation protocols. So maybe Bajorans are immune to isolation protocols.
they have a phasing power that no one likes to talk about.
There's actually an episode of Deep Space Nine that says that is absolutely not the case. But all right. But anyway, she's here because she's a renegade and O'Brien's a paragon, and they're just going to continue hammering these things at Troi. Troi's screen for like all episode.
Yeah, choose. You must choose, Troi. Troi, we can't make a decision without you.
I just feel like somewhere there's a galactic council and Ro is like, hang up on them, Troi. Hang up on them. And O'Brien's like, no, you have to tell them about the Reapers, Troi. But it's good because they're both experienced people in their own right.
Right.
And Troi is high as hell, at least. Yeah. For the beginning of this. I mean,
she's like, I'm technically the officer, but I'm so high right now.
I mean, she's not wearing pips, and that tells most of the story. O'Brien's got to narrate to us that she's a lieutenant commander.
Right. Well, even Troy's like, oh yeah, I forgot I had a rank.
Oh, that's me.
She looks behind herself. The other Troi. Oh wait. Oh no, wait. I'm thinking in double. It always happens when I smoke too much.
Yeah. So, they use her empathy to try to figure out if anyone else is alive, and she's like, nah, it's useless. You remember 2 weeks ago when I couldn't find a room full of Bajoran terrorists?
Yeah, I mean, they were literally, 12 steps away, and I just didn't even sense them.
We blundered into an ambush, and if that's one thing people characterize Beta Zeds as, it's unable to blunder into an ambush.
I mean, that's why our army has such high marks, is because no one can ambush them. But I'm not in the army, so womp womp.
Because I am high as hell, and I'm in command. It's a good Troi episode, though. In my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I wish that something, because we don't get a lot of characterization of Troi, it doesn't feel like anyone who wasn't accustomed to like a leadership position, feels like they could have been Troi in that position. And so, I don't know, it just, is a little bit, I wish I would have seen something uniquely Troi, or Troi using her powers or something, in like, as a result of having to face like her challenges.
And I think that's a fair request, but I think also Troi is uniquely bad at being in command. We don't think of her that way. Yeah. Literally, it's a running joke. And like, whenever Riker leaves with Data, he's going to just say, Worf, you run everything. I know you're not a medical guy or refugee guy, but you're a lieutenant commander in Starfleet. You can run this sick bay.
Yeah.
You can run this bar for 10 minutes. Because that's expected of him, right? Okay. Worf can run a refugee spot or whatever.
Yeah. We're talking over it a little bit, but Data just totally did Worf's job. It's like, I told the security team to send all of the wounded here. And Worf
was like,
I really expected Worf to like growl at him, but he didn't.
But that table. So yeah, and so any of them could do that, and except Troi. Troy's the one person that you just couldn't grab out of this cast and be like, okay, you're in charge of this spot. It's a crisis. That's fine. We're going to do something else.
I don't know. I think
Geordi has heat vision, right? Geordi has heat vision. That's my complaint for this episode.
Yeah.
And he looks at that wall.
I did.
Dr. Crusher's like...
I did think about that after it happened. Like when... literally after he says where, I was like, wait a minute, shouldn't he have been able to see that?
Like, across the room. Like, before he touched the panel, before he got his face in it.
Right.
He's got the one edge that no one else here has. He has the power to see things before they explode.
Right.
Like, in every crisis, Geordi should just grab a guy and go, jump. And they jump and the console explodes right where they were.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason for that scene to have played out the way that it did.
Yeah, no, 100%.
But whatever.
That's 100% true.
This is the second weakest part of this episode.
I don't know. I think you could have had a crusher in like a command position, and you could have gotten some interesting conflict out of that. Mainly just, I think she is in a leadership role, but she's in a very different leadership role. And I think maybe that leadership role, she has kind of different perspectives than someone who's like in an organization on the bridge or whatever, that you could have still got conflict between like Ro and O'Brien.
I don't think you could have gotten as much mileage out of Crusher. That's possibly because I've seen Crusher later in command of starships.
Oh, okay. Well,
and she's all like, what up? We're doing this.
Dang,
so like of this point, we haven't seen her do that.
Yeah.
But, although they didn't mention it much in season 2, she went out and she ran Starfleet Medical, like ran the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know how she did that as a commander, and she wasn't promoted to captain or admiral or something, but whatever. We don't talk about it a lot, but canonically she did. So, But again, if that's the impression, then that's...
Yeah. So this is kind of endearing. This is kind of an endearing scene where Picard realizes that he's hampered and he needs to face this thing that he's not comfortable with. And so he does it within a paradigm that he's comfortable with. So he's like, hey, how would you like to be... since you're the oldest, why wouldn't you like to be my number one? And I'm sure as kids in a Starfleet vessel, they understand like what the number one means to Captain Picard. And so
his name's Jay Gordon, Jean-Luc.
Yeah.
God. What is he a pleb because he doesn't have a hyphen in there? God.
And then just the randos like, I want to be officer too. It's like, but you're not really good at anything. we have the dude that's focused on death and super analytical. We have the older person that has more wisdom, and you're just the radish kid that whines a lot.
He's constructed a situation that makes that kid want to be part of this.
Yeah, which is good. And I do like the whole giving of pips as well. I thought that was rather clever.
Yeah, and he's done that. He did that math from the outset.
Yeah.
To have a pip for each kid, so each kid feels like they're part of it.
Right.
This conflict's a little weak. This tension with Data.
Yeah.
It's like, oh God, it's a coolant leak. It's super dangerous. I'm surprised that no one said it's super dangerous as they're crawling away from the steam that they're throwing in
but
here.
All you got to do, anytime you're on an away mission, you always want to get paired with Data. It doesn't matter what happens. Data's going to save you. Data, it really is just the Ubermensch of Starfleet. He can do anything.
I mean, as we learn in this episode, and I like these short little scenes, like move forward a little bit, they create tension a little bit, and it's just an episode that moves fast. Yeah,
there's a lot of economy here. One of the things that's good is that we got the premise, which is a little shaky, quantum filament stuff. Oh man, can't use communicators. And you're like, oh man, like if you dwelled on that for too much, this episode wouldn't be as good. But they don't let you. They're like, all right, now here's like 5 different situations we're going to keep track of. And the pacing is really well done. I would agree for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, everybody is doing something. This is a good ensemble episode.
Right.
And it brings me back to the original series episode Mirror Mirror, where they're in the mirror universe and everybody's doing something.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just a solid episode of the show. And I feel like this is very similar, where everyone's doing something.
Right. Yeah. And so, I mean, we get a little bit of like the quantum filament stuff here, but really it's just about like this scene is more about showing Troi's inexperience with spaceflight. Like, she doesn't really know anything about being around in space or flying a thing in space. Like, her gig is counseling. That's what she does. And so she doesn't really kind of look at all of this being a ship in space parts of Starfleet.
She doesn't. In fact, the cosmic string is from the Lost whenever she lost her powers.
Uh-huh.
So she knows about that specifically. That was our ticking clock in that episode. And she knows about that because that was the episode about Troi.
Yeah.
Which is a good use of continuity.
Yeah, for sure.
But again, she's so bad at this. And
I mean,
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, she should be at least somewhat good. Like, she, like in...
Oh, yeah.
I could totally see, like, in her mind right now, like, Ensign Rowe is very, whatever, minded. And, I have to, be conscious of that, if I'm going to manage expectations or whatever it is. Like some sort of internal monologue that lets you realize how she's parsing this kind of conflict between O'Brien and Rowe.
Yeah. I do hate this part as well, when Rowe is like, all right, the antimatter containment is failing.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what that means, sir? And Troy's like, I'm super high right now.
That's
I mean,
bad.
It's the most obvious fundamental, this is how physics things work. Yeah. And it's not like because Troi is stupid, although canonically she is.
Yeah.
It is because they have to tell us, the stupid audience, what the stakes are.
Right.
I wish there was a better way to do that.
Right, yeah, for sure.
And honestly, the most reasonable solution isn't that Troy's awful, it's just that she's high as hell.
Yeah, man, you just gotta understand that. she should have kind of abdicated her ability, but nah, it's fine. She can wing this.
Yeah, I mean, Data's about to jump into an electrical circuit here, but until that happens,
so
yeah.
I'm going to see if I have a personal anecdote, and I don't know. It's one of the things that this episode reminded me of, and now I'm going to be on the lookout for it. So when I was younger, I remember like a brief scene where Data had his head removed. And, like, the green head was taken off, and then, like, a non-makeup head was put on Data. And anyone I've ever talked to that's familiar with Starfleet, the original series, I mean, not original series, The Next Generation, has said that's never happened. And so it could have been some weird fever dream I had. But now every time we get the whole, hey, let's take Data's head off because we're establishing it here, I'm going to be very keen on how we got there because our project is gonna tell me if I was crazy or not.
You might be misremembering a scene that happens later.
Okay.
I don't want to spoil it for you, but it
Please
is don't. Okay. They didn't think that they could get away with taking Data's head off.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between Data being a synthetic life form and Data being a piece of IKEA furniture.
Right.
And here he's definitely becoming that piece of IKEA furniture.
Right. And they at the very least, they made a decision. You know, I feel like we've gotten up into this point and they just kind of sidestepped the what is Data? They mentioned the only thing they ever mention is just, hey, he doesn't have any emotions. Hey, he doesn't need to sleep. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
But here they definitely swing the pendulum towards like the android side. Which, if you take from now on, who knows? Maybe that was a good idea. I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah, it would have been slightly better if his chest wasn't moving as much, but I don't know if that's worth the split screen.
Yeah.
But it's a clever idea. It's outside the box. Riker says, I would never order anyone to do that.
Yeah.
But the events of this episode are followed up in another episode years later. Where Riker specifically says, oh, that's got to happen.
He's like, but now that I know that you can do it without incident, what's the likelihood that once they know that they can just remove Data's head, they just kind of take it off willy-nilly, like to play like, like football with it or just whatever they wanted.
It's a game of hide and seek. You remember whenever he did Ambo Jitsu with his dad? Or like the sticks, they're blind, but the sticks tell each other where they are.
Yeah.
But it's like football in Data's head, but everyone else is blind.
Yeah.
I have to find the Data's head by Data saying things.
Yeah.
Just everybody run into each other in the dark, and Data's going, haha, hotter, colder.
Yeah, and so we get some interesting stuff here. Here is Picard. I mean, he's doing this one-legged, so I mean that's rough, right? But we see why Picard is such a good leader is that he can bring out the best in even these kids. Like they're scared, they don't know what's going on. They see their authority figure damaged and weak, and they're in a situation that they don't know if they fully understand, but they know that it's dangerous, and so he's able to create this narrative of like, hey, you're number one, you're going to be part of our crew, we're going to fix this problem, just like Starfleet does. And he does, like, look, he's letting them, he's telling them some hard truths, and he's not treating them like kids, which is great.
Yeah, well, he says, hey, look, we're all going to fall, and that'll be bad, which is why instantly he gives them an action item,
right,
which is why we have to get out of here.
Yeah.
And I like that he co-ops them into his crew, and that order gives them, focus and tells them what they do instead of like being kids and having feelings all over the place, which they do.
Yep.
But he doesn't get away with it. It doesn't work because they mutiny on it.
Yeah. No, that is good. I do like that. She. I mean, because we've seen Riker do something similar, right? Where Picard gives him an order. I can't really remember, but I seem to remember like Picard giving him an order or something. He's like, I can't let you do that, Captain. Like. And you've mentioned that the number one's job is to push back on the captain. And so here is where he's like, hey, listen, I'm the authority figure. You do what I want. And then she's like, well, good number one. Yeah, let's mutiny. And
so he tries to push back and he tries to say, hey, Yeah, you gotta go. And they're like, no, they're way better at this than Riker is.
Yeah, 100%. And what I like about this too is he recognizes, like, he doesn't like double down. He doesn't say, no, listen, you're just idiot kids. Just do what I say. Like, he's like, all right, well, I mean, we're if this is how you feel about, then let's keep going. Also, could they have stripped like is that carpet on the walls? Could they have just stripped the carpet to make like some sort of rope?
No, they have isolinear.
Yeah, fiber optic.
Because it's the future.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I just wanted to really know if that was carpet on the walls or not.
I mean, it's probably cheaper than carpet. It's Hollywood, man.
Yeah.
If that kid leans too hard, he'll go right through that wall. So, it's also a story for her because she's like a really shy kid at first.
Yeah.
And now she's here standing up to the captain.
Because, we got both of their kids, like, talked about their projects, and she just kind of didn't immediately talk about the thing that she did. We still don't know what she did. Maybe it was bossing other kids around. Who knows where Science Project was?
Yeah. But, even for a character who is only seen in, like, one of 5 or 6 plots in one story, she has her own little arc. Yeah. And that's really great. It's a nice touch.
I'm glad that Geordi talks about the oxygen here, because if there would have been anything else, it would have really frustrated me. Because they're like, oh man, this plasma, what are we going to do? It's like, well, Geordi, we need oxygen for the plasma to keep growing, don't we? What if we somehow isolated it and deprived that area of oxygen? And
so I'm just imagining. Yeah, go on. No, I was gonna say, I'm just imagining Geordi walks across the cargo bay and like he trips on a bar that's like 2 inches off the ground. You're like, that's it, and then you just throw on your hat and you walk off. If there's just one more obstacle, it's too much. Yeah. And I agree with you. It's the thinnest subplot of all of them. So.
Yeah, and I mean, it's fine that I love this. This is so good. Worf, like first aid. He's like, prepare yourself. Yeah. It's like, ah. He says, good. You bore that well. And I just love that Worf has critiques on how humans handle pain. Oh man, it's so good. It's so cute.
But it's his bedside manner. And again, it shows Worf being caring, which we don't usually see Worf doing.
Right, and that he has a different kind of caring. It's like, oh yes, it's good to have the skill of bearing pain, and you've done this well. Good job.
Yeah. And again, every character's doing something here, and they're all a little out of their element, and they all adapt to it. Except Data. Data's not out of his element.
Data really can't be out of his element. We have to be reminded, like, hey, what's Data's flaw again? Doesn't he have a tragic flaw? Oh, he doesn't have emotions. You sure? Yeah, that's it. Okay.
It would be great if they're like, the only way to save the Enterprise and get the containment field back up to 100% is to go into this pit of puppies and cuddle them with true human love. And Data's like,
and if they don't build a connection, we all die.
Like they come into the thing at the end, and Data's like, all right, so here's the deal. I just injected one of the puppies with human DNA.
Yeah. So I had to
sacrifice. Damn, that counts, bro.
I had to sacrifice one puppy, but after that, I was able to synthesize a serum that allowed them to understand the situation.
So yeah, you could also argue that Data's natural environment is not being in the middle of like a 1,000,000 amp current,
right?
Yeah.
Whatever. Well, yeah. That we talked over it, and it's so fast, so it's hard to kind of like digest it. But the whole like, hey, I can take this electricity, no problem. It doesn't really feel plausible. It just feels kind of MacGuffin-y, but it's fine. It's whatever.
Data said he might die. See, there were stakes. There were stakes, Derek.
And just to point out, there were stakes that no one else knew but Data.
So here's Troi solving some problems and just saying, what are we doing here? And we don't ever actually see it. Like you say, the threat of the ship blowing up is not real. Like, we never look out a window and see a nacelle exploding. Yeah. And we're like, yep, once we lose the other one, we're toast.
Like, I think it would have been great if we maybe got, like, some terminal. Like, some terminal had, like, a feed to engineering or a feed to somewhere. It's like, man, if we don't get oxygen to those people, or if we don't get blah, blah, blah to happen, then those people are going to die. Also, the bigger problem as well. And I think then it could have felt like there was some physicality to, you're showing me the conflict, but this conflict isn't really about showing it. It's about just having these interpersonal relationships and whether or not, Troi can kind of navigate them. And it's meh. I mean, it's okay. It just doesn't feel like it fits is all.
I do want to mention two things here. We talked last time about the Bechdel test.
Oh, yeah.
And we just passed it.
Oh, yeah. Just blew right through it. But, I mean, it happened, which is good.
Yeah, let's not, drop the balloons, throw the confetti. It's just like, it's the absolute minimum.
Yeah.
And,
no.
The significance of the Bechdel test is how few things that we produce can actually do even that simple thing.
Right, yeah.
But also, Marina Sirtis is killing it. So is Michelle Forbes.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
When you give Marina Sirtis a chance to have an arc like this, she will nail more than just the I'm an idiot who's high as hell.
Yeah.
She will also nail the this is where I am and this is what we're doing aspect of that.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I did like about her particular challenges is that she starts getting a little harder. Like, she recognizes that Ro's going to be somewhat of the problem child. Like, they're at a natural conflict, and she's going to have to stand up to her and say, listen, no, this is just going to happen. Like, well, I got it. I got what you want, but we're doing this. We're doing it my way.
Yeah. And I do regret that these stakes are completely all or nothing.
Yeah.
And that Ro is a relatively new character. Troi has never been in this situation before. So when they're at loggerheads, one of them has to be wrong.
Yeah.
Which isn't the worst thing ever to happen to a character, but it's not great.
Yeah. I do like how we didn't really see... we have evidence of how they escaped the shuttle, but we didn't really see them climb out of it. And we didn't really need to. Yeah. We just know, with they work together and resourcefulness, they were going to get out of here. And I like how he focused, hey, listen, I need to distract these kids because they're thinking about way too much stuff. And I have no idea what the laughing Vulcan and his dog has anything to do with anything.
I feel like it's really racist.
It does kind of feel that way. I like how that the kid is like, oh, let me give you a modern touchstone for, what kids are singing nowadays. And Picard's like, let's sing Frere Jacques. And for some reason, all the kids know how to say Frere Jacques. Like, okay, I would not have expected.
Taught it to baby boomers, Derek. That means it's eternal.
I guess that's true, unfortunately.
And it also reminds us that Picard is French, which we haven't really done a lot.
Yeah.
So,
this is a good shot right here, by the way. Yeah, wait, Macduff.
Like he's licking the isolinear chip, and we never find out if they're actually edible or not. Like, it comes up later in the franchise, and we still don't know. Yeah, I mean, everything's edible once. I just don't know.
Yeah, if it's repeatedly, if it's a repeatable.
Yeah. If it's toxic or venomous. I don't know if isolinear chips are toxic or venomous.
Yeah.
So
this is good. We get some more this is kind of a trope, right? Like the male doesn't understand female things, who is put into the center of a quintessentially the most quintessential of female things, which is giving birth.
Yeah. And it's especially good for Worf because he is a huge nerd and he is super masculine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So having him deal with the messiness of a feminine act like giving birth is just such a great challenge.
Also, props to Kiku's a plant biologist or something, and she's schooling this dude on giving birth while giving birth. I mean, that's like a surgeon performing surgery on themselves kind of crap.
I like that everyone else in 10-4 is like, he's got this.
Yeah, no one's no one just came up and said, I'm a doctor, I can help.
No one's like, I've given birth before, let me see what I can do.
Also, where the is Guinan? Guinan, who could have just solved this entire situation with her timeless wisdom in 10-4, is just not there.
Guinan in her timeless wisdom is on vacation this week.
Unacceptable.
She wakes up on Monday, she's like, a quantum filament? Alright, I'm going to Ryza.
Yeah, it turns out she has no wisdom. She just has a very small amount of precognition. So she just knows what to say, when to say it, in the next week.
So and so this is our people in space are actually in friggin' space episode.
And I liked how they did that here, where there was an engineering part to the solution, and then she was like, "All right, let me brief you on what's going to go on with your body," and that's good. That's if we didn't have Crusher or any kind of medical oriented person, we would have just had to roll the dice and see what happens. But here we had a little bit of preparation, which is pretty good.
Well, in the same vein as Troi should be qualified to know how this ship's functions work, just to be an officer.
Right.
A line officer. Geordi should probably know how space works, but whatever. I have a question that, what is this console for if it can't repressurize the bay?
Yeah, I know.
Look at all those buttons, Derek. Why does it have all those buttons? There's not one button that says put oxygen back in this room.
Yeah, I mean, I assume that all of those buttons are macros, and those macros you can program to do literally anything. And so this whole kind of conflict definitely feels pretty weird to me, but whatever, I'll buy it. Just because I've given up on but trying to deduce what the deal is with these panels, because not only are they apparently only for certain devices, they're also highly explosive.
It would be great if they just go to replicating, like, we just need like 1 million balls, and they just get like a bunch of rubber balls and just throw it in like the zero air.
Yeah.
Hit the panel.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, like initially I was thinking like if you could with the plasma thing, my first thought was like, if you put something in the plasma for it to burn, it would essentially get cooler for a brief moment in time. And then while it was kind of like taking up a less optimal fuel, you could then like deprive it of oxygen, like a closed kind of field. But I mean, what he did was fine. It's whatever.
Yeah. We don't need to focus too much on that. The effect with the barrels getting blown out was actually in miniature. It was filmed downward.
Oh, neat.
And they just like kicked the supports out. Everything fell down. Put it in front of a blue screen. And then bing, bang, boom.
That's cool.
So it's good. Yeah. And it was some good vacuum acting from those two as well.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I like how she's trying to add this sense of like conflict and urgency about like pressing buttons. Like, oh man, if O'Brien wasn't there to move those buttons around, then we would have all died. And it just does. Yeah. It feels kind of flat.
Fair enough.
But I mean, she's trying to sell it, and I get it. I get that.
Yeah.
But Troi is doing good here, where she's like, "Hey, listen, I get that you're upset, and we're totally gonna like prep for the whole saucer separation thing, but we're gonna do it at the last possible moment."
Yeah, we're probably going to let the ship exploding really propel the saucer away from the engineering section.
Yeah, and here we are. We're exploring data to just be the solution to all our problems, as per usual.
Yeah, and Riker as well should know a little bit about engineering. I don't know if he knows, like, access power relays to restore the, antimatter containment, but whatever.
I mean, you would expect that this would be designed in such a way that you wouldn't need too much specialized knowledge and able to get like some level of like, you shouldn't need like some like 10 years of engineering, kung fu to be able to do some like power rewriting, I would expect.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously.
Yeah. And he happens to know.
That's a little outside your wheelhouse.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, that's something where I'm like, how does he know where this conduit is? Although this is kind of good, where his eye closes. Yeah. That's clever. It's economical. Yeah. I liked it. I thought it was good.
Yeah, because Riker doesn't quite know what he's doing.
Right.
But it is funny, like, Riker, 4 seasons ago, weren't you, like, telepathic with Troi? Couldn't you just try talking to Imzadi on the brain phone?
Yeah.
Like, no, it's a quantum filament. It screws up all the telepathy.
Yeah. Just like the communications. Oh, man. It's like, oh, wait a minute. We could use these terminals. These terminals can talk to other terminals. Oh, nope. Quantum filament messed that up, too. Dang.
Yeah. And Data solves it.
Yay.
And that's kind of sudden.
Yeah. But, I mean, Riker with the assist, I guess. But, yeah, Data solved it.
Yeah, well, I mean, Riker's legs and Data. Can we compromise on that? Riker's legs and Data solved the problem.
Mecha Shiva.
So, and it's the thing I like about this series that Rose was like, hey, look, I was wrong. And Troy's like, you could have been right. I gambled and we won.
And that's something we actually never get from Riker. Like, Riker is like, gambling is the right action in this situation. It's like, actually, no, it isn't. No, we're going to gamble. Okay, fine. I mean, you're number one. And when it works out for him because he's a man of action, he never, like, addresses, hey, that could have not worked.
Right.
And I love that. I love that she did that. I think that was great.
Sorry. I know it wouldn't happen, but as Picard climbs out of the turbo lift shaft and all the kids climb out after him,
yeah.
If main power comes back online and a turbo lift just goes right down the shaft.
Yeah. It's like, yeah. I would have hoped all the buffer, the command buffer gets flushed before the power gets turned back on, or else all the people climbing through turbo lifts trying to escape are going to end for a rude awakening.
Picard looks down and goes, my pips.
No! My grandfather gave me those pips. And everyone's relieved. It's nice. Everyone gets some physical contact. You know, Picard is...
Yeah. It's catharsis.
Yeah, catharsis. Exactly. And so we're tying off loops, right? You know, we finished Picard's thing. We finished Data and Riker's thing. We finished Crusher and Geordi's thing. And now we have the uncomfortable bit, right? Like the...
Worf is like, come on, it's time. Yeah, just tell it to go. I need a green light down here.
Yeah, and I like how he's critical. I would have loved it if, like, Worf knew a lot about, like, Klingon births, and there was, like, just something inherently different about Klingon births. Like, maybe they had an extra vagina or something. I don't know. And to where he's like, these human pups are just so difficult to give birth. You know, if you were a proper Klingon woman, you could have done blah, blah, blah. And they would have just been kind of like this, hey, I'm a different species, you know, delivering one species of thing. But then it could also have been like a racist thing. So, I don't know. I like, yeah, that's classic, right? Push. Yeah. I am pushing.
Yeah. I mean, they're doing the fairly typical Hollywood pregnancy.
Right.
But it works within the confines of this episode. The very tight confines of this episode. So Keiko gets a baby.
And it's a girl, of course, because O'Brien wanted a boy. I like this. Well, wait, no. Like, you know, what if he, like, just, like, knocked its head off or something?
Yeah, because he's going to smack it to induce breathing. He's like, oh God, North, no.
Yeah.
And he's like, you make a second baby, right?
Yeah, you have another one in there, don't you? I feel like I need to take a MacGuffin.
Michael Dorn's doing some acting class work here, where we're behind the sheet where we can't see too much of what he's doing, literally.
Right.
And he's kind of just telling us, all right, I will now cut the umbilical cord.
Yeah.
He's sort of narrating as he does his space work.
Yeah, and so this good baby acting by this literal baby.
Yeah. He says, hey, it looks like Chief O'Brien. So now we're in the, we're past the crisis. Let's make a bunch of jokes now.
Right.
Which is good. I mean, it's how the tone shifts.
Right.
People are making jokes.
Yeah, and it's good. And like, she's like, yeah, and she has that whole, like, hey, I'm not mad anymore. Everything worked out, so I'm okay. Which is fine. I mean, it's a typical Hollywood pregnancy.
Yeah. Looks great. So, and then we get Crusher and Geordi and McDuff, and they're like, hey, McDuff, you want to go eat? And he's like, okay. So we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know, really. So, it's like...
Yeah. And so here we get Troi giving some sass to Riker, and I love it. Oh, I'm here for this.
That was good. Yeah. When these two have a strong relationship, professionally or personally, like, it's fun. It's good times.
Yeah. And so, you know, here we get like a very like 90s sitcom moment at the end of this.
Oh yeah.
And it's fine. Yeah. It's one of those things where like, oh, you guys, but it's good.
Yeah, and she's not in frame right now, but Ro sitting at her station that someone just freaking died on.
Yeah, no, right?
It's pretty confident, let's put it that way. So...
Yeah. I mean, I really don't understand how, after every shift of, like, either flying the ship or navigating the ship, you don't just have PTSD because you're essentially sitting with a ticking time bomb. Just every single shift of your career at Starfleet. I mean, that's why people want command, so they get away from the terminals.
And Picard's like, you have the bridge number 1. And then, like, the girl in Commander Riker was like, okay. And it's like, we end up laugh. And we get a wink.
Whoopsie daisy. Yeah, we get a wink and he goes into his command room.
And that's the kind of ending we haven't gotten since like the original series when we literally laugh before rolling credits.
Yeah.
And that's it though.
Yeah.
Final thoughts, disaster.
So I liked all of the conflicts in Final Thoughts. I think Troi's was fine. It just didn't fit. My criticisms were more on how they didn't fit with the other conflicts, but I think it was still pretty good. I would have liked to see the same kind of conflict, but maybe in some sort of more personal relationship episode, like the Bajorn episode. I feel like Troi could have done this same thing, where somehow like Ro, rando dude, and her get trapped by the terrorists or whatever, and we have to use leadership and other things to get our way out. You could have had that would have landed more, but it's fine. She gets some lines and it's good. And this is a good episode. I enjoyed it.
Like I said, it's one of my favorites. Next week we are going to watch The Game.
Oh man, did we already lose? So we get from Netflix this card where they're all looking down at, I don't know, a child maybe. It doesn't look like an adult, if my proportions are accurate. And so we have Riker, Worf, Crusher, Picard, I think Ro, and Geordi all looking at a person who's lying down. And Wesley, dang. Well, there are then. And so this is the summary we get from Netflix. Wesley Crusher returns to the Enterprise on vacation from Starfleet Academy, only to discover the crew is acting mysteriously. I guess like someone emailed the crew that he's going through puberty, and so they needed to make everything awkward. I really don't know what this episode's going to be about.
Yeah, you cannot see this one coming, that's for sure.
Okay, all right.
We will see it next week, and until then,
remember Rand.
I'll make this short because no one likes credits. Star Trek is property of CBS Television Studios and Paramount Pictures. We are watching Star Trek on Netflix. We are talking over Discord, and we are recording and editing on Audacity. The Beige and The Bold is hosted on Anchor and can be found on most podcasting platforms. I would also like to thank our senior officer Patreons for supporting The Beige and The Bold. They also make video editions of this podcast and remasters of old episodes possible. So thank you to Tracker by Moonlight and Miss Jess. If you have any questions or concerns about the show, please contact me at vanvelding@gmail.com or on Twitter @vanvelding. Thank you, and remember Rand.